Welcome back to another edition of Check Call. Don't forget to subscribe to Check Call, the newsletter on FreightWaves.com if you haven't already. Today we welcome Lucas Schorer, founder and CEO of Kestrel Insights, and Riley Barrow, business development at AI Fleet. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
I'm excited today. It's been a minute since we've had Kestrel on, and Riley, obviously, you're brand new to the show. Welcome. It'll be a good time. But I'm kind of excited to get into it today. We're getting into some of the time-saving aspects of technology and other ways to really kind of reduce inefficiency in logistics, something that both of you guys are very good at. Before we get too far into that, though, Lucas, let's get a quick little recap of your background and how you started Kestrel, and then Riley, we'll get over to you and see how you ended up at AI Fleet. So, Lucas, kick us off.
Yeah, perfect. No, I appreciate you having us. This is perfect timing. Last time I saw Riley was only a week ago up at the ski resort at Whitefish here, and he had a beer sitting there waiting for me. So he's a good guy, and it's good to have him together. So Lucas Short, founder, CEO over here at Kestrel Insights. All things geofencing, basically. Our mission is really to advance the utilization, the impact, and really the understanding of geofencing. So anywhere people are using geofences today, we live there. And that's kind of our focus. We've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now, managed millions of geofences and learned a lot over the last few years. So yeah, happy to be here and kind of talk all things efficiency and where we impact that kind of stuff.
I like it. Lots of times tracing out little patterns of where something should and shouldn't go.
The number of geofences I drew in the early days, I wouldn't even want to admit it. Luckily, we've gotten away from that, but getting off the ground was a painful process, and we're churning them out now, so that's good.
I absolutely love it. Riley, why don't you give us some of your background and how you got to AI Fleet?
Yeah, Riley Barrow. I've worn multiple hats in my 3 years at AI Fleet. Was immersed in operations, built some dashboards, did a lot of data analysis, and now kind of work on sales operations, business development, account management. We're trying to grow our customer base here, so kind of help lead those efforts. I've been here 3 years. We're a traditional company in the fact that we have traditional trucking company in the fact that we have our own assets, company drivers. But really what we do is unique is all the automation and really trying to maximize utilization and revenue per truck while trying to increase profitability and improving the quality of our drivers' lives is our main mission. So we do all that with our in-house TMS that we built that does all the planning, route optimization, as well as just the normal operations with communications and things. So excited to be here, and thank you for the invite, Mary and Lucas. Yeah, it was great seeing you up in Montana. Love your part of the world up there.
I have oftentimes wondered what mysteries Montana holds, because everyone says it's like the best place ever.
No, it's terrible. No one come. It's terrible. I'm a transplant myself, so I can't talk, but it's a great state.
Riley, it sounds like you wear just a couple hats over there at AI Fleet. Just a couple.
Startup, yeah. So I joined when we had 30 trucks, and we're now at 260. And we've done all that growth over the past couple years. So amidst the freight kind of downturn too, so priorities get shifted a little bit, and I just try to help out where I can.
So you're just kind of a member of a real small mom and pop organization.
Real mom pop.
So getting into kind of the bulk of everything that we wanted to talk about today, and that is, it's something that we talked about quite a bit on the show recently, and that's kind of in different aspects of it. We've focused pretty heavily on the AI aspect of it, but ultimately at its core, everything kind of aims to solve the inefficiency problem in logistics. Because I mean, I can remember many a times that I was like, this is the most convoluted process ever. Why are we doing it this way? And it's just how it worked or how the system allowed us to do it. Or it's just my favorite of this is how it's always been done. So we keep doing it. And that's not necessarily a good enough answer, in my opinion. So when you guys are out in the world, if you will, where do you guys see kind of the biggest inefficiencies? Like, what are those you can almost always, when you're talking to a new customer, a new carrier, or a driver or anything, where is those that you could close your eyes, throw a dart at the map, and guarantee to hit those inefficiencies or some of those areas that just really make those, just highlight those weaknesses? So, Lucas, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, we kind of have a unique, I feel like a unique perspective on a lot of the places we touch in the industry because we are a pretty funky little data niche. Like being so focused on all things geofencing gives us some interesting insights to different things that go on in these businesses we work with. The main things we interact is really chasing down the impacts and the effects of bad data. Like as people grow in their mission to build automation and build these different tools into their business that allow one person to do the job of three, four, five people, the part of at the very beginning, if you have bad data that triggers all these workflows or triggers these automation things, it bites you in the butt multiple times downstream. So that's the biggest thing we see is like we tell people like, yeah, you're coming to us and to buy geofences, but you're not buying geofences. You're buying better workflows, better triggers, better reports. You're buying a better business. It just happens to come from this really funky little data point way upstream. So that's some of the biggest inefficiencies we see is chasing down and making corrections on bad data, bad reports, bad triggers. So it's like all that data's there and you're doing the right things. It something went off at the wrong time or in the wrong order and the impact that has really dominoes. And so that's some of the biggest stuff we run into.
Riley, what about you? What are some of those common inefficiencies or things that you sit there and when you talk to either carriers or different brokers or shippers that you're like, "Oh, hey, you're literally stepping on a rake that is smashing yourself in the face."
Yeah, from the operations standpoint, it's really just fragmented communication between customers, brokers, and drivers. And there's just so much that gets lost in between. And if the timing is not right, then, you can have your truck sitting empty for a day and there's just lost opportunity. So we're really trying to automate as much as that as we can. We've developed some tools to kind of ingest information from rate confirmations and get that to the driver very quickly. We try to have automated updates that we can send to our customers, our brokers, whoever it is, um, all through our tool that will use their ELD, see where they are, give them estimates on when they might arrive. If they prefer email, that's great. If we're set up with some macro point tracking or whatever technology they use for tracking, we can send updates that way. But ultimately, we would love to just give full visibility. And it's really tough because there's so many different systems that people use, and there's so many different onboarding processes that you have to go through with new customers. We're really trying to showcase what we're building and how it works and get people to kind of buy in on this new approach to how we're operating a trucking company. And then once they kind of see the magic and learn to trust us and lean on us to deliver their goods on time, then they give us that will to be able to communicate to them accordingly. And we're really trying to prove that and do our best as a carrier to kind of build that trust.
I think that communication aspect is so incredibly important in the carrier, anything that has to do with the carrier, because there have been times where I have seen and witnessed just the biggest blow up of all blow ups because a carrier felt like they didn't get a piece of information, or a broker was like, I gave it to you, it was on the rate confirmation, or, he said that he told him about it when he first took the load. The carrier said he never heard about it. And just something simple as like forgetting to say that you need to have a freshly washed out trailer, which in the grand scheme of things, not the end of the world. It's inconvenient, yes, but it's not going to necessarily stop a carrier from taking that load. It's just one of those where if they knew about it ahead of time, they could have planned accordingly and gotten it instead of getting there, getting refused, his not washed out, and then having to go get a washout, come back, miss their appointment, get loaded kind of on the side. And it literally could have just been solved by just double checking, saying, hey, you know that this is a washout, or highlighting in that rate con saying this, you need to have a washout. And I think that's something that a lot of people kind of forget, is that, it might see it's something that seems so nothing, but it's a huge point, and it's a huge thing that, if you just forget this one tiny little thing, it's inevitably going to result in some huge blow up later down the road.
Yeah. I feel like this isn't like all aspects of, I feel like, life, but it's like it's so easy to under communicate, but it is so difficult to over communicate. Like you almost can't over communicate. Like you tell them, I was talking with a guy kind of it was like just in like sales approaches and things like that. And it's like tell them what you're gonna tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Like you can't do it, you can't like double down enough almost. And yeah, it's I think you're spot on, Mary.
1,000%, because it saves so much time. Like, yeah, it might take you an extra 5 minutes to send an email and say, hey, just as an FYI, you have to wash this out, or just making sure that like what I'm hearing from you means that like this is what you're understanding from what I tell you. And it seems so nothing, and so like why would I do that? But it's incredibly important.
Yeah, and I know Czech Claw is like a big broker audience. I feel like that communication is such a big trust piece for them in terms of like someone is coming to you to like manage their business. Trust is just so huge, and we rolled out a integration with Project 44, where again just like honing in geofences, making them as accurate as possible. A bunch of our first customers, it was purely on just they were using like arrival and departure to communicate with customers, and they wanted to make sure that truly those arrival and departures were spot on. So when they reach out to customers, they know, yeah, hey, that truck is there or was there or did come, versus, oh, I haven't seen it or it didn't come through. So yeah, I love that communication piece.
100%. Oh, go ahead, Riley.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff that happens in this industry that's kind of reactionary, and one thing that we really push internally is just proactive communication. And with new customers especially, we really preach that, and just seeing how much they appreciate it a few weeks in, when they're not even asking for an update or anything, and you're sending them one, and you're providing them kind of good proactive communication. It's like it's just they just really appreciate it, and you can see how it's a different approach to things. So the more you can automate that, like what we're trying to do, the happier you're going to make people.
And that's kind of one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And that is, how you can use technology as kind of that time saver, if you will. So whether it's my favorite example would have literally given me 6 hours every day back into my day. And that was picking up the phone and saying, hey, where are you? What time are you going to get there? Hey, where are you? What time are you going to get there? You can now do that just with like 3 clicks and have it scheduled to run every day. So I could have come in to all the ETAs for the day that I needed and maybe had to call 10 over the course of like 30 minutes, instead of spending 6 hours every day doing that. Which, first of all, we love to see that kind of growth. Second of all, RIP to past me, because that would have been a great life-saving time. But something like that really can make a huge impact, of just something so simple that would make those changes just so much easier. And, Riley, that's something that you guys over at AI Fleet, that's kind of how you've built your whole model, is that technology first, but still efficiency, and still like ultimately still advocating for the driver. Because I think a lot of times when people try to throw a lot of technology in places, it becomes more burdensome. Because I mean, every broker's got an app, everyone's got their own load board, everyone's got their own thing. And so, but kind of both of you guys have really, your organizations have said, we're going to just kind of get downloading another app, downloading all this other stuff off of our drivers, but we're still going to give that improved workflow and kind of those improved metrics to everyone else throughout the supply chain. So Riley, like I'll start with you first. How have you guys really leaned on that technology component while still maintaining the human element that everybody honestly will still forever hold on to in supply chain?
Yeah, Mary, you bring up that like how do you maintain the human element? And I was actually just in Orlando at Geotab Connect, their big conference, and Neil Cause, the CEO over there, during his keynote, he made a really interesting comment that was like, I always get asked this question of, is AI going to replace, my job? Is AI going to replace me? And he's like, AI is not going to replace you. A person who uses AI will. And so like that human element, I know, I feel like it's such a scare tactic of like, the machines are here to replace us. I mean, who knows? I could regret this statement in a week or whatever, but I really don't see that as like an issue. Like that human element is such an inherent piece of this industry, especially. And I'm on the worst side of it. I'm a data company that is just APIs and databases. Like I'm the worst of it in terms of that human touch point. But we really see ourselves as like not trying to like replace a human element at all, but 100% empower it. And for us, the time saving part that you were talking about, like chasing down those bad data, those bad triggers, it's such an issue. And we have a great customer on uh I think they're over on Motive, Elliott Electric Supply, where they were using geofences to monitor all these different triggers, and they had overlap with like risk zones, customer locations, and so they were just spending a lot of time maybe chasing data that could be really solved by just having the right geofences in there, which we were able to bring in. So now the people and the human element is empowered by this data, not replaced, and there's no nothing taken away from like how they manage their drivers, how they interact with their customers. Still totally there, just smoother, more efficient. So supporting that human element, definitely not trying to replace it.
I think that's kind of the trend that everyone's kind of taking for AI is it's not because it's hard to come in when say like the robots are taking over all of a sudden like it's almost impossible to implement overnight, but it's freeing up people to do the stuff that they don't want to do. Like I did not love doing chat calls for 8 hours a day. Like I didn't like it. It wasn't fun, but it's coming in and saying, hey, we are going to free up the 99% of shipments that you really honestly don't. I don't say you don't care about because like you care about your customer shipments, but I don't need to know what's going on a shipment that picked up on time and is on track to deliver on time and has no problems in between. I really don't need updates on those. I just want to know that it's going to deliver on time and it's not something I don't have to worry about.
The the amount of times like I run into people and I'm like, I guarantee there's not a single person in your company that was like, I love showing up every day and knowing I get to draw 1,000 geo fences. Like nothing gets me going like that. Like just there's no way. And we've talked to companies at times where they're like, well, we have circles, you can upload CSVs and you can do circular geofences or you can hand draw them. It seems to be working all right. I'm like, yeah, but that's because your customers don't understand that there's another option. I guarantee if you give them, hey, draw 1,000 or just have 1,000 of these polygons show up from Kestrel and they're perfect, they're not going to choose drawing ever. And like, I totally agree. Like that core competency is such a focus for us of like, hey, you do so many things great as a business, as a carrier, as a fleet. Don't spend time managing literally shapes on a map, which are these geofences. Like we've nailed it. We focused on it. We are freaks and we're passionate about it. So let us be your partner and kind of your expert there. But yeah, that core competency piece, huge part of our conversations.
Riley, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, that's cool. And sorry, I kind of glitched out there for a second, but I just wanted to say, yeah, what we're doing to bring efficiency back is and give it back to our drivers ultimately, because that is the mission of our company, is to keep our drivers happy, pay them well, and make sure that they get home. Is a lot of the optimization that we're doing within the tech to reduce the decision making that dispatchers are doing to build the route for these drivers. All that efficiency we're able to provide to our drivers by giving them a base salary, giving them incentives to earn more each week. So we're really baking in, how we can take care of our drivers by reducing a lot of that manual work that has just plagued so many trucking companies before. So you leaning on that tool to make the decisions. I mentioned weather, traffic, home time preferences, location preferences, all that is customizable within our tool. And then, yeah. And so we can really kind of, you know, reduce, just reduce the amount of decisions that a dispatcher needs to make, and just have that all baked in the tool, have it run continuously, because as you know, new loads appear all the time. and loads disappear all the time. So the fresher that you can have those results, the more accurate information you'll have. And then we do what's really cool. We do what's called predictions, predicted loads. So we have probability tests on certain lanes from certain customers and how often they appear, and then with 95% accuracy, we can actually guess or predict when that load might appear for the following week. And we can look to start to position trucks that will be in that area prior to that load appearing on their load board, so that when it does appear, that we can try to strike at it first and get a truck positioned to service that.
I really like that approach too, because those dispatchers, it's they're handling more than just like one or two trucks, like one or two drivers. They have just a couple, just a little bit. But also it saves them from having to go like, oh, I have this South Dakota load, and I know one of my drivers really prefers South Dakota, so let me go here to, like, my notebook and look and see, "Oh, well, I have 2 people that like South Dakota, but let me go and look and see if I know that one likes this area more than the other," and that's a lot for them to keep in their head, but if they can just literally if it pops up and it says, like, "Oh, Mike loves South Dakota on Wednesdays because he goes home that he lives in South Dakota or like his cousins in South Dakota or whatever. If he likes South Dakota on Wednesdays, and this other guy thinks they're okay, but would prefer a North Dakota instead, then you're like, oh, okay, I don't have to sit here and flip through pages or flip through my brain going, which one was that? Which one is that? That just saves me as a dispatcher so much time of instead of going like, hey, I've got this. Do you want it? And then saying, no, I don't, or maybe I do. Can we move the date? Their preferences are already loaded in there, meaning that's less time that I have to sit there and go, "What do you want again?" And I can just send it to them knowing that it already is, like, their perfect load, which they're not really gonna say no to. And also if, I mean, one of my infamous stories I love to use is that I had a driver that I gave them or they gave me their daughter's softball schedule that said, this is where they were gonna be in different areas. But in reality, instead of me sitting there matching up each game with different loads that got you somewhat close, they could go in and put their preferences in for, "Hey, I wanna be in Michigan on, Tuesday and Chicago on Thursday," or whatever for her schedule. Those are already in there, and that means that I don't have to sit there and match everything up. It's just automatically gonna pop up, and I love that aspect because that's how you get your drivers really happy.
I mean, our goal, we're talking hopefully not too far away, but we're talking future state here, is like ideally you build a network of shipments that you could get the drivers home every night or at least 2 nights out of the week. We have that with a regional fleet in Texas and Louisiana, where we've built kind of these networks of shipments with customers down there. And yeah, let's say a driver wants to get home on Tuesday night to go grab dinner with his daughter or something. You could edit the home time settings within our tool to be able to do that and then have them leave out Wednesday morning and say deliver a load in Dallas or something. That's possible. Granted, we don't have the network of shipments yet, which is also what I'm trying to work on. But that's the future state of just having all that information into the tool and then allowing the computing to go on and then just find the matching of those loads that really is going to help increase the driver's quality of life. And I do think it's possible. And, we do hire some drivers that love to stay out on the road. They want to go make as much money as possible. Like, that's great too. But the more and more drivers I kind of speak to that are, a little older, home time is a big value to them, and that's something what we've really leaned on into our recruiting efforts, and it's why our attrition is low and why people want to stay around with us.
I mean, it seems like you guys really put an effort into caring about what your drivers wants and needs because like you said, there's always gonna be the ones that love a cross country road trip. They're gonna say, "I'm going from New York to Los Angeles, say less, I'm in." And there's others that are like, "I can run 2 to 3, 200 loads and be home every day." I'm in. I'm 1,000% in. And I feel like that's like kind of it's always it's overall, and that's something that both of you guys' companies are really kind of taking to heart is that improvement in the quality of life of people either using your software or working for you or working with you as a partnership. And I think that that's something that honestly, if we could find a really tall rooftop and shout it from, just like improve the quality of life, I think that'd be great.
Absolutely. I love it. I remember that when I first met Riley, I was like, it's a very like altruistic thing that maybe people talk about, but Riley was like, no, we have this built into our algorithm. Like if you want to go home, these are the times. And it's really cool. I think it's such a unique approach and yeah, huge differentiator for the tech. So yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately just a time saver from recruiting because drivers like to hop jobs. They like to go around, they like to chase the money. And we did see some drivers leave when the market started to turn because uh driving a week or two out on the road or 3 weeks just wasn't paying what it was. So it's like if I can make the same amount of money in a regional job, I'm going to do that. Um, so that's we really had to figure that out and give them a guarantee each week, but also still be able to provide those incentives for hard work. You can make some more money. So it's yeah, just getting them to buy in is really what it's all about because we really hope to take care of them.
Yeah, Mary, that's an interesting, like the efficiency piece you talk about. Like I'm guilty of this too. I go to directly like I guess I don't even know what the word would be, like the industry facing inefficiencies, but like Riley, your comment there is very much like almost like an operational inefficiency for like the hiring and the admin. Like if you can save money and be efficient there, that can absolutely translate to the rest of the business. So yeah, that's really cool. Kind of front of house and back of house almost.
Speaking of houses, there's a question that everybody that comes on the show has to answer. And gentlemen, you are no exceptions. So, Lucas, I'm going to start with you. If you could build a house out of any food, what would it be?
So I saw that your guests do this, and I could not get my mind away from what's a food. And I was like, that is so boring. That is so engineering. That is so like basic Montana. And I've tried so hard to get my mind out of it, but I could not get away from just stick pretzels and build a little Lincoln log house. I just like a little cabin in the woods. I just couldn't get away from it. And I tried so hard at my mind. It was just like, I just couldn't. So I'm going with the little stick pretzel that I'm building a little Lincoln log cabin in the woods.
Would it be just the single stick pretzels or would you introduce the twists into it?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about the twist. So, um, I again, this is just so engineering type A of me. I can't stand. Do you know what a yurt is? Like the circular tents that people use. I hate yurts because I can't find an efficient use of a circular space. So I like things straight. I like squares. You can fit bed frames. You can fit end tables. You can fit kitchen tables. I like straight corners. So I'm probably gonna keep it to the sticks.
All right. Riley, what about you? What are you building your house out of?
Well, I just visited a customer earlier this week and they make styrofoam coolers. I know that's not a food, but I was laughing at this guy because he was nerding out on what's basically just large Lego blocks that they've created out of styrofoam. They're called Fox blocks, and you can pour concrete in them and like build these structures. But anyway, it was cool to just see him because he had one of those small little what's the movie from Zoolander, like House of Ants or whatever, that he was stacking on his desk, and his face just lit up. He's like, "Let me show you how these work. These are so cool." But it got me thinking, and I'm kind of copying Lucas in terms of the geometry of the object. I love Asian food. I love egg rolls. I just kind of was thinking in my head, you could just take a bite out of the end of an egg roll and kind of stack them up like Lincoln. Maybe throw some dumplings there on for the roof. So yeah, I think egg rolls would provide some good structural integrity.
Riley, I think Riley's house might be a tastier house.
Definitely a tasty house for sure. Yeah, I if you left me to design interior decorate our house, I would be so boring. Thank God I've got a wife, so it's much more homey than if I was sitting around by myself. So yeah. Anyways,
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us. If anyone's out there looking to connect with Kestrel, we're at LinkedIn, KestrelInsights.com. But yeah, appreciate it.
Riley, where can people find you after the show?
Yeah, aifleet.com. Any drivers watching, we have a whole recruitment portal on there. Can get you in touch with our team. Any customers needing their shipments moved, we have a whole ship with us page on there. Would love to reach out to you, set a meeting. Riley Barrow on LinkedIn. Thank you, Mary.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And you can find Check Call the Podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcast and Spotify. Don't forget to check out all the other incredible FreightWave shows. And don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter on freightwaves.com/checkcall. See you on the internet.